Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are at the Gold Mode podcast doing the Mentor Tournament in the Tempered Sword bracket. It is going to be McMonkey versus Khaja, and these two have a pretty good running record so far to get them into this bracket. Today, your commentary will be done by me, Esper Hubb, and with me today is Adilor.
Hello, we are here indeed commentating a race on this nice Saturday. We've got a countdown in the race chat going. We're going to be starting momentarily. Khaja versus McMonkey, round 2, Tempered Sword bracket. Let's get hyped. This should be a good race.
Now, as y'all remember before in the second round, that this will be standard. So the difference between standard and the other modes is that you will be doing the opening escape sequence as you normally would when you first start playing the game. However, all the items are still randomized. And as we see here on the first chest, we got the hook shot, which is definitely going to be very useful if they have to be using the bomb strat.
Yeah, that's actually... I love early hookshot. It's literally my favorite item in the game. So seeing that as the first chest item, I could not be happier for this seed. Like, no matter what else happens, I like this seed automatically.
Yeah, you also get to do some fun shenanigans as we see Khaja doing right now, hookshot into one of those bushes to do some quick travel. And we get from Uncle the Samora Kang, and this may be one of the least favorable weapons that you would want to see in the escape sequence, mainly because you have to rely on that magic meter, and you have to make sure you don't waste too much of it, or else you may end up having like a few situations where you could get stuck.
Yeah, Burna tends to, without half magic, it drains a lot. Burna, the quirk about it, like, it does damage, of course, but it has a startup cost to it. It consumes less magic than the cape as long as you're letting it run, but for every enemy you have to start and stop, it consumes like a flat amount to even get it going. So that's they have to be very sparingly. They did get 3 bombs from the chest there, so that will be convenient. They can do stun and bomb setups for this, and that'll save them some magic probably here.
Yeah, it looks like hopefully they'll leave one left for the last bit of escape, or hopefully they'll get lucky and get a bomb drop here and there.
Or we get luckier and get a sword, so we're fine on weapons.
Oh, well, geez, that just makes everything invalidated, I guess.
We've been talking for the last 2 minutes, like, all right, so we got Burna, this is a tricky one, we got the bombs at a little bit, sword, we're fine.
Yeah, this seed just threw a monkey in the wrench of that plan. But you know what? I would rather have the sword be here than like anywhere else. It could be a seed where they were just be swordless for like an hour in. And I have had a few seeds that were like that. And McMonkey is showing us the quit strats today, effectively doing the spins to be able to clear out the 2 other rooms to head downstairs. So it looks like he'll have like a small burst of a lead here.
Yeah, just a little bit, not too much. Yeah, it's a nice little strat if you can get it. Kind of the poke spin gets you a very quick kill on the blue guards, which otherwise will take 3 slashes or 2 spins. I wonder there if McMonkey was thinking to try to set up for a death warp, but then remembering, or being told by his mentor, like, we're actually in standard. If you die here, you go back to the cell, so you lose time there.
Yeah, it looks like he had open still stuck on his mind there. He thought this was just like any other open seat at the moment. And that does cost him a little bit of time. And with that, Khaja is definitely right on the heel. Well, past him just by a bit, as they are quickly going through these rooms just so they can get to the back of escape. since they are going through all the paces, let's talk about a bit of the runners here. Khaja, he ended up getting a bye for round 1, and hopefully I would like to think that the bye can be a good thing and a bad thing, because it allows you to not worry about the week that you have to race on. You have like fewer matches, but that may be one too few matches that you don't have like the necessary experience in. So I wonder if he compensate that with a little bit more playing during that week or so.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I like to, in looking at like other sports and stuff, there's always interesting to kind of look at like, is a first round bye good? Because there's one less game to play, you're guaranteed to go through, but will that just kind of leave you like rusty and out of practice if you're not keeping in top shape, like on form and all that? In the interim, you go in like all cold for your next game, and your lower seed just beats you up, and you're like, well, that was kind of one and done.
Yeah, and the best time that Khaja has pulled off during this tourney so far was his week 4, which was 1 hour and 43 minutes and 29 seconds. As we see in the Dark Cross room, we just got a map, so most of the items are in the very back of the very end of Escape, so we'll hopefully see some progression from there. McMonkey, now he comes with a very surprising tidbit of history with him with this tournament, with his tournament run. He had only clocked in a 2-hour time at the very first week. The rest of them are all sub 2, and his best time is an impressive run of 1 hour and 16 minutes and 33 seconds, and that came from round 1. So he's right now, if that says anything about him, he's looking to hopefully replicate the same way that he had finished out that previous seed. Get it under sub and blaze through it.
Yeah, it's a crazy good time, 116. I don't even think I've ever had a seed that fast. I want to say my best like just open or standard 7-7 has been maybe like a high 120-ish. So clearly I have some work to do still.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that sort of time record with my personal best, still trying to clock in around 150 or so.
So since we did get bombs early on, we were able to clear the back of Escape, which had nothing, and that is a Moon Pearl in Sanctuary. So that is one piece of Dark World access right off the bat.
Also, with that Moon Pearl, should they ever desire to, after doing these rest of these checks, they could opt in doing some water walking techniques to be able to go into the fairy fountain at the waterfall where near Zora is at to do the little bit of logic breaking from there. And it looks like both runners are going to go into the Lost Woods from Lumberjack. McMonkey is often not checking Lumberjack, and it seemed like Khaja is looking to pull some money out from the tree there, which is kind of surprising. And he checks the crab, it's only hearts, so if he does need some clutch healing in the overworld and a crab is there, he can definitely go to there. As we see on Lumberjack Ledge, we got the Bombos medallion. With that now,
that's a bit ominous. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, if that's even going to be useful, but that could be a good knowledge for Khaja. It seems like there's been a lot of push lately from a lot of mentors to have our runners skip the Lumberjack check, because generally you might get you can combo it later with other things, like if you're going to Bonk Rocks, you have boots, or if you end up going up there for Bumper Ledge and you have the mirror, you can check it then too. And then if you do actually end up with an Aga seed, that kind of can give you like a hint of maybe I should go check this. And there's a map check we've got. So we've got crystals on Eastern and Desert and a blue pendant at Hera. Meanwhile, Blind's Hut, we have flippers and a second sword already.
Oh boy, this is... Okay, second sword does add that damage in there, along with a sword beam, but this early, I'm having some sneaking suspicion that this could potentially be an Aga seed. We do have Moon Pearl. We have yet to come across the Gauntlets or Hammer, or Titansmith for that matter. So, at any point in this run where they exhausted all their checks, they will have to do it if they end up finding the Lantern. And just gonna have to run through it if that's the case.
Yeah, the of course Master Sword. Yeah, all we at that point are is short of a lamp for Aghanim access. We do have a lot of checks left, so it's a bit of an early kind of scare, like, oh man, Master Sword. But for all we know, that could just be just a nice second weapon for these guys to have. There's a bottle in Cackwell, so we got one of those in Kakariko, which is nice because they can take care of the lazy kid before they head south.
And a check from the merchant, got a piece of a heart.
Been a ton of money too. I mean, kind of glossed over that, but there was apparently a 300 drop in here somewhere. They did have the tree pull for 80 rupees, and McMonkey's realizing out of bombs, but thankfully there's a shop right here, so if you don't find any in these two checks, you can just buy some and finish up here.
The only issue that I probably have with this is that it'll just bite into the money, but that's unless you really need to hold on to it for the Zora check. But at this early point in the run, you don't have to really worry about it as much. You just have to have some sort of like ammunition for bombs in order to do South Shore and such. So this will probably be a good exchange. And even then, they can do the rupee room should they desire once they need to do Zora.
Yeah, and I'd be hard-pressed to believe that we wouldn't come across some more money in chests on the way. Because, we still got the South Loop. And then, of course, the Flippers does put Zora completely in logic. So no doubt they're mindful of that and wanting to get back to 500, have that be an open option.
As we see Khaja doing the same thing. Getting his 10 bombs so he can go on ahead and finish the rest of his checks.
McMonkey getting that map check as well, showing us crystals again on Eastern and Desert, and then Tower Hera's blue pendant. McMonkey a little bit ahead, getting out of Kakariko here. Looks like I didn't see what the library was. I missed that. 50 rupees on the race game. Probably a skip unless they feel like that'll be the tipping point to get back to 500.
And it looks like it is. Like, early investment may pay off. Don't have to really scrounge for that change in case they don't get gauntlets. So that may be a good idea to do. It can also help that they will need to probably do Rupee Room still in order to at least do the last bit of money in, or what I like to call paying the toll, which is having to do pod entrance through that way. Because you still need, at the very least at the start of the game, 710 rupees, I want to say. Because you still have to.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because you have to pay the vendor, that's 100. Pod entry is 110 and Zora is 500. So as long as you have that much overall, you should be fine. And any other extra, you can just use that for safety strats like potions.
Yeah, and once you're in the Dark World, you've got another 110 from Digging Game and the Chess Game, so 820. I mean, once you're in West Dark World, that is.
An impressive hook shot from McMonkey there in the dam, clipping into that boulder, and we see Khaja doing the same thing. So these runners are going to be a little bit toe to toe for a bit, until like I want to say after these sets of checks, and we get half magic in the dam. That's going to be very useful early in this match.
That's another fantastic item to see early, especially since we've got Burna, so that is actually a weapon. We're probably not going to see it used offensively too much. But the moment we find a fire rod, or even like maybe even an early medallion that's good for certain rooms, that could be coming in handy.
And we see McMonkey going into the desert to do this one lone check. I kind of don't blame him for doing it. I wonder if his runner suggested this check just to get it out the way, because it could have potential progression, especially based on the items they have gotten so far. As we see Khaja going through Generosity Cave and gotten the same Kame Samora, a piece of heart, the lantern, 50 rupees, and 10 arrows. I am starting to not like this seed now.
Yeah, we've got that's agging him open with that lamp. That puts that tower completely in logic. We get the Samaria is nice too, but that doesn't really do anything for the early game. That's all
That's
Dark
all.
World dungeons
Yeah,
unlocked. Yeah.
yeah, that's Dark World shenanigans that we're looking at here. Still, you could still say if you do get Dark World access very early, which is I'm hoping the gauntlets are within the ice cave because that's where Khaja is running towards to. Hopefully, they can do some Death Mountain from here. Because especially with the hook shot, that allows them to get to the right side of Death Mountain and do some more checks from there. And hopefully they don't have to do Aga from there. And as we see, just a bee in a bottle. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking the moment we find if we get a glove, I would not be surprised if we see a mountain trip. Considering the hook shot does open up a lot more than just 3 items you can get, or a flute would do it too. That would give us everything up there as well.
And as we see Khaja going into the water, we're gonna most likely do a lap around the island, probably going into Hobo, and then going into Zora, because usually you will route those two in before doing the big fish himself.
Yeah, Khaja's just 3 rupees short. Shouldn't be hard to pick up those 3, even if we have to farm a little bit off of bushes if we don't find it elsewhere. And yeah, we'll have 4 items coming from up top at Zora, 1 at Hobo. We can take a look at the Lake Island as well, check that out for later. After that, if nothing else, we can head over to Eastern.
Eastern for the 3 checks, as well as perhaps doing most of the dungeon itself, since it is a crystal, and see if we get lucky and find a bow and arrow. But more importantly, hopefully finding actual more progression like gauntlets or Titan's Mid or gauntlets and hammer to be able to do Dark World. Still, with Bombos being on Lumberjack Ledge, one can't help but to think it may be required should Misery Mire or Turtle Rock requiring it, and either of them are crystals.
Yeah, you gotta think that's on their minds, both the runners and the mentors, thinking, is this going to be an Agassi with that medallion there? There's a 1/3 potential right there. Oh, okay, Hobo's just some bombs. Okay, well, we'll see what happens out of... There's our 3rd bottle already, and the 100 rupees to go ahead and take care of Zora, no problem. Our waterfall refill is a bee.
Oh, man. Even more bees.
So I think all of those bottles, I think 2 of them had bees in them, and then the waterfall is a bee. So I think Khaja acts 3 bees right now.
I wouldn't be surprised he start releasing them now, just for hijinks. But as you see on the ledge, we got a piece of heart, so nothing important from there. Hopefully, we do not get scammed today, and unfortunately, if we do, Khaja and his mentor will have to make the call to see if they should do Eastern or they should just go ahead and go into Aga.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting decision to see if either of these jump right for Aga after the Zora play here.
In my personal opinion, I will probably go for the Aga. And as we see Mushroom from Zora, so might be looking at the turn in right now to see if that actually leads to progression.
Yeah, looks like Khaja's going to go ahead and take the walk out and go right for that mushroom turn in. Without a flute in early, it's probably the best way. Just go ahead and knock that out right now. You kind of chase the logic chain, and just investigate that immediately. That's not a bad idea, honestly. Considering early game logic chains can be really it can be a really good idea to follow them, because the game will kind of sort of lead you in a certain direction sometimes.
And as we see McMonkey grabbing his toadstool, going ahead and...
Oh, and I have forgotten, and Khaja's forgotten, no, there's no glove, but you can swim around. That's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
McMonkey opting out to do the save and quit just to go back to his home. More likely going to go ahead and turn that mushroom in too as well, unless...
I think McMonkey's going to use the whirlpool.
Oh, the whirlpool. Okay. Okay, I think I understand what he's going for now.
I
Yeah.
think that might actually be a little bit faster, maybe with this, especially with the save and quit timing fix that we got in the
Yeah.
V3105. That might be a smidge faster now.
It's not often you have to go through that whirlpool to get to here, but sometimes it is very useful to know that it exists.
Yeah, those whirlpools. There are 3 or 4 of them in the light world. It's one of those kind of things. It's a bit of an advanced tech in a way that you don't really think about using them for transit, but sometimes if you need to have a really kind of an odd route, they can get you where you need to be. And I think there's one in the dark world as well by the Skullwoods pool to the southeast lake, I believe.
Oh, right. And we see McMonkey opting out to reset to keep the mushroom. Looks like he's going to be holding on to that just in case he needs to do fake powder, which is actually a pretty good move since we know that mushroom only going to give us $20 in the payout.
Yeah, not a bad play at all.
Now, depending on where he's going, we may see some divergence. Oh, nope. No, it's not. We are going to go take a look at Eastern and behind the hut and hopefully get our much needed progression, or hope that we get our much needed progression.
Yep, neither diving right for Aga. We'll see what comes out of this. Looks like Khaja maybe going to just do 3 and then Aga. I was actually kind of wondering about that because the 3 items from Aga are from us. Sahasral are pretty quick.
Okay, so here's the deal. Green Penance and Dark Palace. They could route both of these in by just not doing Eastern Palace now and just going straight for Aga to do Dark World. And I believe this is a pretty good play on their end to just do the 3 checks on the hut and then just go ahead and do Aga afterwards.
Yeah, this seems it seems solid. At this point, you're down to at best 3 items in Eastern. At worst, you could have 2 because you can have 1 and it's on the boss. You can't get 2. Aga's going to, when we kill Aga here, that'll open up a good chunk of the Dark World actually, because we've got Flipper and Hookshot. They can get the Pyramid item when they go straight to the west side of Dark World, or they can dig into Pod. Without Hammer and Bow, it's a bit of a tricky dig, but depending on the key layout, they may be able to still get some items out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Personally, in my opinion, in this case, I will definitely do the Aga play, as well as, like, instead of going to Pod, I may end up paying a visit to Catfish and then start doing the rest of the overworld checks from there and going into Thieves Town. I want to say it has, like, the most considered checks, as well as we don't have the bow and arrow with us right now, nor the hammer. So if we go into Pod without those 2, we can't really do much afterwards. Especially if we want to route in Eastern along with it. So they're most likely going to be looking for Mirror, as well as those 2 other items, Hammer and Bow, to be able to route that in there and get that east section pretty cleaned off from there, not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see if we saw both of them go straight for West Dark World, because there's a lot more that they know is available over there, whereas for all you know, Pod could be straight up bow locked, and I do not believe either of these have a potion to do the camera unlock glitch. So.
Yeah, all they have is bees right now. Lots of bees.
And bees will not help you for getting past those mimics. And yeah, again, especially without a mirror, you do like to be able to combo Pod and Eastern together if you're going to do them both. Without that mirror, that's going to be one more bit of motivation that should push them to West Dark World. I think if I was in this situation, I want to say that I might make the Aga play, but given that I've already gone to Sahasral's hut, I may just go straight to Eastern and get the items from it. And maybe we'll see between the 2 of us here which one was the correct call.
All right. Okay, so now here comes the question that is stirring in everyone's mind right now. How many blue balls do you think we'll get today?
I'll say 4.
Last time I called it in, it was 3. I feel like it's going to be 2 this time. As we see both runners running into the room and doing the face-off against Zaga.
So we've got a 4 in chat, and Oreo is saying we're going to get a 0 here, going for best RNG. We can. Oh, there's 1 so far. Not a
There
chance.
is 1.
You got to win 6 coin flips to get 0, and that's not particularly likely.
Yeah, that's 2. And that's cycle 1 done. On to cycle 2.
So for anyone who's not familiar with Aga's cycles, the first shot is always reflectable. The next 3 will be the coin flips. There's a 50-50 chance of a blue ball. And then the attack he does after those 4 is always go up to the center and shoot lightning down. And then he repeats the pattern.
So far we got 3 so far. 3 blue balls. Though that may be the last of it. Yep. There we go.
And that is indeed 3, which is, by the odds of it, perfectly average. And actually, Lilithen in chat correcting me, it is only 4 coin flips you have to win to get a 0, because the 2 shots you get at the start of the cycle are guaranteed. So.
Only 20 rupees at the pyramid ledge, so nothing important there.
We got Khaja heading north, and we'll see momentarily from McMonkey whether we're doing the same.
Seems likely. Yep.
Yeah, these the early access, all the kind of options that are available here, it's entirely like, I don't blame either. I'm glad they're both making this play, so we'll be neck and neck here going to West Dark World and most likely Thieves Town. Oh, there's our map checks. We got a red crystal on Swamp and Thieves. There's a pendant Mire, and I missed the other pendant.
The other pendant was definitely on Dark Palace because our friend at the HUD gave that hint away.
That is true, yes.
So yeah, more likely when they get the mirror along with hammer and bow, they'll route both of those dungeons into there and see what Green Prize has for us. At least that's what I hope that'll happen. Not everything is guaranteed in this seed, of course.
Let's see. Looks like we might see a bumper ledge check here, maybe? Yeah, I'm going to just check that out while we're here. That's not a bad idea. That's good information for later.
And it's a whole heart there. Both runners are basically just following in each other's footsteps. Khaja's now doing his map check. While we get McMonkey going into Skull Woods. You know what? This is actually pretty good. This is pretty good because you can, if you don't find anything in the back part and the front part of Skull Woods, you can just go into Thieves Town from there afterwards.
Yeah, it's Skull Woods has 2 items in it. There's a decent chance you find something good here, and it's not a terribly long amount of time to just find 2 items. Plus with Samaria, it makes this room here, the switch, a lot easier. And then you can go left and grab the key, and then feel free to make the drop to the Beal room and not have to worry about getting locked in the dungeon.
Yep. Catching the train on the Master Hand.
Without mirror, that's the fastest way out. It's nice timing because you can walk in, grab the pot, and by the time you get down there from getting the key, the wall mesher's right there.
As we see Khaja opting out and not doing Skull Woods, but instead doing Thieves Town, doing those checks, and ends up taking way too much damage, unfortunately. he will have to take the moment to save and continue and go back to the light world in order to get back through there. He'll have to go back to the castle to get to Dark World. And that is Cape, item number 1 in the Skull Woods area. Hopefully item 2 is not too far off.
Yeah, it's quite possible that it's locked up in the back of it, either by being just there or the fact that the big key could be in the back as well, and the big items, the big chest. I think that's what we have here. I think we're out of checks for Skull Woods right now.
Yep, that is it for now. He takes the intentional death to save warp, just so he can get to the entrance from here without having to use any keys. And he's most likely going to go ahead and do Thieves Town now. One thing to do note that they do not have Blue Mail yet, so traversing through the Dark World with 6 hearts is very, very risky.
Yeah, a lot of Dark World enemies will do like a straight up 2 hearts of damage on green, if not more than that. I think in particular, like the bugs and Thieves Town, I think those do 3 hearts on green mail. They are really, really good, like tricky. And they move in such ways, if you're kind of new to the game, it can be really hard to avoid them.
We see Khaja making his way back to Thieves Town. Hopefully he didn't lose that much time taking that death. As we see McMonkey now going into the brewery room, getting
just missed the bomb through a little bit bullet fire. I don't think we saw anything significant at the more bombs. Yep.
Yeah, we didn't see anything new as of yet. But from the looks of it, he looks like he's going straight into Thieves Town dungeon. Oh well, wait. He has one more check, and that's the treasure room, the treasure game.
Yeah, both these runners kind of putting off Thieves Town and going into it until they've checked the rest of the village, which it's a bit slower, but I kind of don't blame you. You're looking for anything else that can help you get through it, especially if you get lucky and find a hammer outside, which lets you through the dungeon.
That's what I exactly think. I was hoping for a hammer to be in these overworld checks, so that when they go in here, they don't feel like they have to orphan out an item especially if they have to clear this dungeon out.
Speaking of blue mail, there it is in Thieves Town.
All right, so now we gotten ourselves a peace of mind with that kind of defense, as I would like to call it. Both runners are utilizing those hook shots to their full potential as we get our last item, which is a key. So it may end up being it could be either a dungeon item or it could be an actual item in the big chest, and that's something that you kind of wish you didn't pull from that last chest for it to be a key.
Yeah, having the key means it's not possible to have the small key locked in the big chest, which is entirely possible in advanced logic. So there's basically a 3 out of 4 chance that the big chest is going to have an item, so there's a good likelihood they're leaving something behind here.
Hopefully that item that they're leaving behind will not be the thing that they'll need in order to progress through this rest of the seed. Like, for all we know, it could be boots in there, and that could be very bad.
You know, with all the French vanilla and actually vanilla Titan mitts we've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if it was our first glove lurking in Thieves Town. It would just seem awfully like it's been a theme lately, at least from what I've seen.
Vanilla items being in dungeons, yeah, that I understand a lot. And McMonkey using that cape, making full use and benefit of it to avoid the rest of the damage there, because he was definitely not having a good time in that room especially without not having boots. Without boots, it feels like a pain to just run through there.
Yep, getting bullied by the bugs here down to half heart. You'll be really careful. Good to remember also the hook shot has the capability of, early on, finding hookshot's great because there are a number of enemies that will kill in one hit, and those bugs are one of them. So if you feel like you want to just be super safe and not die to the bugs, don't be afraid to whip out your hookshot. It might just save you a death.
As we see, Khaja just often not to use it, to use the cane of the blue cane, which is, I kind of wish he didn't like use it, because he still should hold on to that magic just in case he needs to do blind.
Yeah, blind is, especially if you're not really familiar with the script, burn on blind is one of the best items you can have defensively. It keeps you safe from damage, and it hits blind too. It's just perfect for that fight.
Oh, McMonkey taking damage, unfortunately, ended up dying as well from those red dudes. I forgot what they call
the Zazax. Zyzax or Zazax, one of those, I forget. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, red Zyzax do hurt a lot, especially when they spit out their fireballs. So
yeah, even with blue mail, that was it's a bit much for only having 6 hearts in early Dark World here. And as you saw, it's very common where if you walk into that room in Thieves Town, you don't have a glove, you just try to grab the block anyway because you're not thinking about it. It's very much muscle memory, but then you realize, oh yeah, this is a kill room.
Opting out and leaving the Thieves Dungeon just to do some digging game stuff. I do not blame him for doing this bit of routing. You already ended up not you may not have finished the rest of your checks in Thieves Town, but you ended up dying anyway, so you might as well just come back here later once you at the very least have a hammer. As we see from the chest pull in the prison, that item is definitely in the big chest, and that may not be a good thing. As we see a piece of heart dug up in the digging game.
That was 30 digs for that heart piece. That was
quite
a lot of work to find it.
Really, really rude for that heart to be there like that.
Yep. And then, yeah, as you said, we've got 2 items left in Thieves Town, so McMonkey getting kicked out by a death, not terrible, because you do want to come back, well, ideally when you're maybe a little more combat capable and able to full clear the dungeon. So hopefully for McMonkey's sake, we don't have a key item on blind that's going to open up the progression.
10 arrows from Stumpy. Unfortunately, we were hoping for something a bit more, but hopefully Hype Cave will cover that. You'll just have to take the long way around, unfortunately, which McMonkey will soon realize that, which is understandable. You're so used to handling Dark World with gauntlets that you just kind of quickly forget every now and then.
Yeah. Like I said, talk about the block in Thieves Town, same thing. You just think you're pretty sure you have a glove at this point. It's all muscle memory, so you just try to lift rocks. On Khaja's side, we had a definitely an off-script blind, got off-script pretty early, but still got through it actually no problem. Pretty good dodging projectiles, got the boots off of blind, and the McMonkey is indeed finding a glove and a hammer.
Hype Cave is super hype right now.
This is actually for once a good Hype Cave. That's actually straight up Dark World Axis. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Just opens up the seed completely with just those 2 items. Now you gotta be wondering what he's saving and quitting, but what he's planning to do with those items now. Is he probably going to go back to Thieves Town? Because that may be a good idea to do to finish the rest of that dungeon up.
I'm thinking Mountain.
Mountain 2 is a good plan as well.
And considering this trajectory starting and lurking up a little bit, yeah, I think we're seeing a Mountain play definitely here.
All right.
That glove makes that totally open. We've had that hook shot for a while. There are 10 items available up here. Actually, more depending on what's in Hera. So there's a bunch of options up here.
Hopefully, when he gets up here to check Lumberjack and see Bombos, he does not orphan Thieves Town as that long. At the very least, probably after Death Mountain, he goes back to Thieves Town, finishes that up, just because he has the hammer and such. And hopefully he'll get his boots so that way he can go ahead and get bombos. Because if this seed is anything like the rest of the root seeds that I've been playing, they're probably going to need that bombos.
Yeah, considering they've got the boots fairly early, I feel like it lends a little bit more chance of that being actually necessary.
Meanwhile, Khaja is going through covering the tracks that McMonkey has done. I'm going to check the 2 items here. We'll check the item here and then move on after not really finding anything of worth getting. So more like he's going to grab the key, leave out, and then head towards his next destination. Oh no, he opts out not getting the key, which is completely fine from here. Especially since
Khaja has 2 small keys in the inventory right now, so that extra key is completely not necessary at this point. Yeah, Skullwoods has got loaded all the small keys in the main front sections. We're going to have the big key and an item in the back, and then the big chest will have the other item.
Monkey doing his checks on top of Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, nothing good so far. See what's on over here in Paradox and Spiral.
Hopefully he is not going to get burned doing these checks, because making the play to do this now compared to like trying to finish up these times, especially when you have the boots and especially when you have the gauntlets and hammer, hopefully that doesn't come around to like bite them, because that could be an issue offering that last section like near the end of it, especially when it has boots. As we get red mail from the first part of Paradox Cave, fully armored up.
Still on 7 hearts, but red mail does have a decent bit of survivability. We got an ice rod, a second shield, a little bit more defensive ability there even with that shield. It's a little bit bigger, blocks more stuff, and that's about all we're getting. So the ice rod, good for later, doesn't really do much in the immediate.
Looks like he's probably going to check the top before leaving here, which makes a lot of sense. Ends up messing up the bomb jump, though, unfortunately. So he's going to... he's going to try it again. Usually when I mess up the first time, I just leave out and do the walk of shame afterwards.
Yeah, as long as if you give it on the second attempt, I think you're still saving time over walking out. But if you have to take more than twice, you might consider dropping out.
As we see Khaja going in and getting his hype cave done. See on top of the ledge, just 20 rupees, and now he is going to... Oh, that's right. You can definitely do Hera from this point.
Yep, we do have Hammer get across the top. Hera is a pendant, but 2 items, and we have a fire source, so this dungeon is entirely accessible.
Hopefully this will lead some progression, but at the same time, McMonkey is definitely making... Oh, never mind. It's all worth it now. We get a fire rod. So unless Turtle Rock requires bombos, we may end up seeing Turtle Rock being done in the near future. Most likely the last place, but let's hope that we get the rest of the items before then.
I'm now imagining a world in which we find one more medallion, like a medallion and a glove up here as our last 2 items in the mountain, and then it's just like, oh, well, I guess we can go to Turtle Rock.
Now, this is an interesting play that McMonkey is doing. Instead of doing the waiting game, he's going to do Harapot and skip the big key in its entirety. This may be huge if there's an item within the one chest that's out there in this floor that he's coming into. And it is a map. So unless the boss has it, he may have to just do the waiting game.
Yep, because we're going to get the compass or our last item off of Moldworm here. Ooh, immediately bullied down the center hole. Jeez, Moldworm.
Falling down twice. That is right out the gate. More just saying, "Welcome to the randomize. Enjoy your stay. Have fun falling down 2 floors."
Meanwhile, Khaja also having fun. Welcome to randomizer by introduction to a Dead Rock being in the worst spot.
Dead Rocks are the worst.
They are the worst. I commonly rotate between Dead Rocks and Mini Helmosaurs being the worst enemies in the game, but Dead Rocks, they're terrible. Mini Helmosaurs is more like, do I have the equipment to deal with them?
This time we see McMonkey is taking his time. Oh no! He gets pushed off again.
Yeah, Moldworm's being a bit tricky with the movements there. There are definitely some patterns to the fight, but every time Moldworm bumps against a wall, the pattern pretty much resets, and it can be really tough to predict what he's going to do immediately coming off a wall. And if he's sitting there just bumping repeatedly, like, how are you gonna deal with it? He's got to waiting for a good opening. There you go. Got 3 solid hits.
3rd time's the charm allows him to finish the rest of this dungeon up, and we get a pair of bombs. So not opting to do the basement is a good play. You don't have to worry about anything else from this dungeon.
Yep, that's it. And
we get 5 cave mirrors.
Cave. That was... I was kind of wondering, I didn't mention it, but I was wondering, like, I wonder if we'll see an early Spike Cave play, because that is absolutely in logic, and Khaja finding a fantastic pickup there. We know that mirror is necessary for at least Swamp. It'll be great for routing in other things throughout the rest of this seed, too.
Mirror being very, very key item here, allowing you to pivot to other things between light and dark worlds to finish the seed a little bit more effectively, but also getting more access to different checks as well. So that early spike cave definitely paid off.
Yeah, that was a fantastic call. I think Khaja's still got to clean up the rest of the East Mountain here, but having the mirror is...
Having the mirror now, though, is like amazing. And we see nothing from Spiral Cave, so McMonkey is saving and quitting. Here's hoping he's going to do the same play. Oh, nope, he went to Sanctuary. Hopefully he does not orphan out the mirror until at the end, because right now Khaja has definitely got a pretty considerable lead, not only having boots, but having mirror to be able to route some of the stuff in effectively.
Yeah, we know of 2 items that Khaja has that McMonkey does not, and we're hoping for his sake that he gets back into Thieves Town to get the boots off blind, and then he hopefully doesn't put off that spike here very long. I mean, it'll be tough though, because he's definitely left it up there by itself. It is absolutely orphaned, so it's hopefully we get a push back up the mountain at some point to like a second glove will put him maybe back up there to get Super Bunny and hook shot. We just hope he doesn't leave it very long.
And Swamp Palace may have the next pair of gauntlets for Titan's Mint. I personally would like to think, with Mirror being in Spike Cave, I would not be surprised if... Actually, it probably would, because Fire Rod's in here as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Ice Palace has Fire Rod. Oh wait, no, you need Titan's Mint. My bad.
Yeah, with Ice Palace, you can, we got flippers. That's as soon as they have the Titan Mints, they'll have full access to that dungeon. And with Samaria, it'll be easy access to a little Icebreaker straight down the right side.
Yeah.
Khaja getting the Fire Rod, getting a little bit caught up on items here. We'll see if Khaja also does the Harapot here.
Looks like McMonkey is making his way back into Thieves Town to finish the rest of it up, which is actually probably a good, considerable idea now. As we see Khaja doing Harapot in a different way, one of my new favorite ways of doing it is clipping into the torch with using the speed glitch, which is done by mashing the dash with the hookshot while holding upright to be able to glitch out your sword attack, but allows you to move very, very fast. Fast enough to clip into the pot and get into it as if you were doing it with like the bomb methods. Definitely probably like my favorite glitch that I've like discovered during this turn, during my run in this tourney.
Yeah, I really like the super speed for the technique for Harapot. It looks really cool, especially if you can do it. If you can get it like on your first attempt, you just like seamlessly like just go right into the pot and just make it look super easy. It's not that easy. You definitely have to practice that to get the movements down exactly right, because super speed, it is hard to do any sort of precise movement because you're moving several times faster than normal.
It's kind of funny that because when I was doing one of the practice runs before one of my races, one of our mentors told me the glitch, and he said he knew I was able to do it without much issue because of the way I just kind of just like gauge the distance very easily. He saw me how I easily was able to do Icebreaker a lot, and he mentioned that glitch to me, and turns out I was able to do it without much issue. Khaja opted in to do Master Sword Spin on Mort. He may end up going into Rage Mode. That may be an oopsie daisy on his part, but nope. Okay, no, he's sticking with it. So we may see. Oh, he gets pushed off though.
Also got bumped down the center. There's a 2-floor drop.
Mort going 2 for 2 for day on our runners, making sure they get the pitfall treatment.
Meanwhile, McMonkey cleaning up blind. A little off script in the last phase here. Not a problem. Go ahead and just use the Burna. Take a little bit of lag. Avoid some damage. Take out the boss. Not a problem.
And we get our boots. I didn't what was the big chest item?
It was just a compass, so I think we were actually off count by items by 1. I thought we had one more, but it was the compass. So
we're okay. But yeah, still going back to get the boots though is still a good idea.
Oh yeah, that'll stop him from losing time just by virtue of not having those boots to run around everywhere. And just gonna go ahead and head back to Thieves Town. So, or not Thieves Town, Skullwoods. With the fire rod that lets us get in the back, take care of Moth. It's a crystal dungeon. You want to do it? There's one item back there. Could be our next progression step.
I would like to think that after he finished doing, you know what? I kind of want to say I'm fine with this play, but I want to say he probably should have did not bumper cape, but he should have did lumberjack ledge first to get the bombos.
That would be convenient for Monkey if he had the mirror.
I forgot.
Yeah, not having the mirror on his side, that's like the big difference now. So we got that mirror on Khaja's side.
Without mirror, it doesn't really help him out. It doesn't really like give him that much of an option to go back to be able to get that item.
And of course, we know he's not going to find it here. He's going to go back up the mountain to Spike Cave to catch up on that item. But we'll still be able to take care of back at Skullwoods, and from there, I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a trip over to Eastern or Pod. Pod just got a little more appetizing with the hammer. You know that if it's not bow locked, you can get most everything in the dungeon except back to the boss. And Khaja finally taking down Moldorm, had another drop. Moldorm just bullying both our runners pretty thoroughly here, so it's lost some time for both sides.
Moldorm being a big bully today. Like, as if this seed wasn't hard on our runners right now. As we see McMonkey effectively taking out our very angry moth with those well-placed fire shots.
Yeah, just kind of took it easy. Just you can play that fight very kind of patient and calculated, especially with half magic fire rod. As long as you can dodge the spikes, you've got a ton of time to just wait for moth to get into good positions. So we did get the big key off of moth, and we'll have to. Yeah, okay, McMonkey, good. Realizes he's got to get that bridge chest item, or either that or a Trinexx reminding him that we've got one item left to get. And then it'll either be here or at the very last option in the big chest.
And we see we get a temper sword. That is going to be very helpful for the up and coming fights that they'll have that McMonkey will have to do. Now that he has that in his possession.
That's very good. A third sword at this point in the game when you've still got 5 crystal dungeons to get through, especially with some of them being the tougher bosses like
Cold Stare
and Trinexx in particular. It's great to have. You're not going to have to worry about having to find a third sword to make you feel really combat comfortable. It's good. Really, at this point, all he needs is just a couple more hearts, because you got red mail as well, but still like 7 hearts. It's really easy to whittle those away, especially when you got sources of damage that always deal 1 heart, like spikes or fireball projectiles.
Yeah.
It's easy to see all that low health diminish pretty quickly.
And as we see him going up to Lumberjack, most likely to grab that bombos, because Lord no, we all like to think this RNG will say, hey, you need bombos to enter in Turtle Rock at this point. And that's the way I'm seeing it. You might as well pick it up now while you're here.
Yep. And on Khaja's side, we do have the go into Swamp Palace. It's fully clearable with hammer, flippers, mirror, and hookshot. Dungeon of requirements. And going into the draining the dam, if you have boots, you can see an interesting little bit of movement where you dash into the lever. When you hit the wall, you grab it by releasing or pressing A. The timing is something you got to definitely practice, because it's not as easy as it sounds to hit, but you can grab it as you bonk and then pull the lever, start the lever pull in the middle of the bonk animation, and then start dashing by doing another dash start down while you're pulling it. It turns into this really neat, smooth animation. Also, there's a bow in Swamp, so that's another item we've been looking for, which fully opens up Pod and Eastern.
Oh man, speaking of Eastern though, McMonkey's looking to go in there, and I would like to hope that the items that he's looking for does not lock him out of the dungeon. If there is another bow in here, then we will have both bow locations, and Ganon wouldn't be much of a trouble to fight.
Indeed. We're hoping... Right now, it looks like McMonkey's just unfortunately making the wrong choices, but for all we know, there could be something early in Eastern that was meant to give us more access. So we'll finally see if them putting off Eastern and both going to Aga before it was the right play.
First chest was 300 rupees, so that's one item down. 2 more to go.
To answer Melee in chat, yes. So McMonkey has not gotten the mirror in Spike Cave, which is very much isolated at this point. Until they find a second glove, there's nothing else up on the mountain that's even an option for them to pull them back up there to get it. And looks like we're going to see a full clear with a left side first from Khaja. So we might have our first chance at some underwater strategy here. Yep, going to flood the key, and next room we're probably going to see a delayed bomb, and then you'll see the magic of what people like to call diver down. McMonkey found the big key in the left chest there, so we're a little bit of a better key layout. Hopefully we'll just get 3 items still and not worry about it. Ooh, heart piece for the second item. Not looking good for Eastern having progression.
As we see.
Second attempt, got it, no problem.
Yep.
And then with the delayed bomb explosion, because you need those blue blocks to be up to get both arms on the left side, so you walk back up to the north, and the bomb actually then triggers, hits the switch, and you're all good for left side.
Hopefully left side will have some items and not have dungeon items, so... He did pull up one dungeon item or two, right? When he was over there?
I've actually been I wasn't perfectly... I was more focused on McMonkey. Yeah, I was watching McMonkey's Eastern because I'm really hoping for something over here. So I missed actually Khaja's exact item count.
Okay. But yeah, I saw in the menu that he didn't pull up any dungeon items, but that doesn't matter. A whole heart was there, and I'm pretty sure this is probably going to either compass or map, but if it's big key, that'll be great. No, of course not.
Why but vanilla big key would have been nice. Now we got to go back for the big chest after we find it.
Yeah. Well, you may or may not have to, unless we find compass. If we find compass, then we hope the big key is within the big key chest, and we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, we'll hope.
And unfortunately, McMonkey, I don't think he found any sort of progression for.
Nope, it was two rupee chests and a heart piece. There was absolutely nothing worthy in Eastern.
And he's going to go ahead and do the ghetto play of going into Dark Palace now, trying to route those two together. If he only had Mirror, he would be able to just not go through such great lengths to get to here. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, if he had Mirror, I think we might actually see the move into Swamp. But yeah, ooh, there's our mitts in the flooded room.
All right, Titan's mid in flooded room. That's pretty amazing find. Who called that, by the way?
Did somebody call that?
Yeah, someone totally called that.
I did not see the...
I think it was Oro called it.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Oro called that. Oro is...
Yeah.
Oro is something of a prophet in our races sometimes. Ooh, and Pod's bowlocked. First chest is not a key.
Oh, no. That can't be good.
And they're just going to exit out. Yeah, I'm not sure where else you can really go here. We might go running up to Catfish, actually.
Okay. That'll be the second... Well, that'll be a good decision to do. But... At this point, I probably would have saved quit and then start looking elsewhere, but not opting in to go ahead and do it in Catfish may be a good idea here, because you don't want to try to orphan that as well, on top of the Spy Cave that you have actually orphaned as well.
Yeah, Catfish is one, if you haven't done the Zora area, you like to try to save it until you have Mirror, but since they both did early Zora, like this, it's never going to get any bit easier to check.
Yeah.
So you may as well, if you're going to do it, knock it out right now. It's good. It's a good time for it. And considering how much that they're missing on that side, it's I don't blame them for starting to look at single checks at this point.
And we get a bug net from my buddy over there at the very end of Swamp Palace. Khaja clearing that out pretty effectively. He is going to most likely. He's probably looking to now go ahead and do. He's more likely going to do Pod into Eastern Palace now at this point, from the looks of it.
Yeah, so on Khaja's side, we have full access to Palace of Darkness with both hammer and bow. We've had the lamp forever, so everything's logical in that dungeon. And then with the mirror, they can easily just dip out to clean up Eastern. Ooh, we're going to see a Pyramid Fairy. We do have both red crystals already.
Yeah, this is probably the reason why it's a good idea to do Swamp Palace in this seed right now, because that was the other red crystal, and now that you have actually finished both of them, you can just mirror into Pyramid by going into Hyrule Castle.
Since it's an Agus seed, you have that nice luxury of just being able to mirror, and then you get the archway portal, or the castle door portal, whatever it's called. And that adds 2 check value to completing both those dungeons.
And it looks like McMonkey is now running into the Spike Cave. He's going to get his mirror as we see a piece of heart and a piece of heart and bombs in the treasure chest. And it looks like our buddy is going to just release all these bees. But we first got to see what we get from the fairy here. But yeah, this mirror now in McMonkey's possession. He realized that he needs to probably double time it now into finishing the rest of the seed now that he has gotten that.
Yep, that mirror opens up. He still needs the bow out of where the heck was that?
As we see a sink, save, and
swamp,
quit.
right. So yeah, that mirror should push him to swamp, and he'll be getting caught up here.
Yeah. So Khaja's going into Kakariko Village, more likely to do the blacksmith chain. I wonder if that's what his mentor has directed him to go ahead and do.
Khaja also hasn't done Skullwoods yet, the back of it.
Okay, yeah. He also hasn't done that either, so yeah.
We're seeing a retracing on both sides, because Khaja's already done Swamp, and McMonkey's already taken care of Skullwoods, so we'll
all right.
Just clean up each other's traits. Clean it up and catching up with each other here. I think Khaja's definitely still got a lead here based on having the mirror much earlier, but they'll, yeah. Actually, while we're retracing, I need to step away for a brief moment. I will be right back.
All right. And while we're in the downtime of both of our runners retracing the steps, here is a little bit of tidbit about them. Khaja actually came from the Ocarina of Time randomizer. Like his friends that was in Speed Game in France were mentioning the Link to the Past randomizer to him, and he gotten into playing it 2 weeks before this tournament started. So he learned, before he even learned all the locations, he started learning all the glitches and stuff. So he wanted to get to the meat before the potatoes, as I would like to call it, which is pretty fine in that regard, because you can still learn the rest of the game that way as well. McMonkey, he started doing randomized since December. And between then and now, he has definitely improved a lot. And he wanted also to learn all the small little time-saving things so that they eventually stacked up to get better times, and it definitely shows. If you do like what you see in here, please do give our runners a follow. Also, why not give Go Mode Podcast a look into? They do a bi-weekly podcast, talk about some tips, tricks, and some situations in the game to help not only expand the horizons of learning it, but also to enrich the community with the knowledge and all sorts of fun things. They also make a bi-weekly seed as well. And you get to go through and put all the stuff they have discussed to the test. And from what I recall, today, this bi-weekly seed was definitely dark. So you got that going for you. As we see here that Khaja, unfortunately taking a death on the boss, that's going to set him back a little bit. So we're most likely going to see a rematch of that fight, because it definitely did not seem to go his way. Going to look to take that fight back to him. Meanwhile, we get the bomb strat of Diver Down for McMonkey. And he's successfully doing that first try. Showing everyone that he has learned how to do the very important glitches today. Yeah, back to my shilling. I kind of forgotten it. But yeah, do give Go Mode Podcast a follow. Also tune into their podcast as well. Also give my commentator, my buddy commentator over here, Adilor, a follow as well. And why not give me a follow as well?
Follow everyone. Yeah.
Follow everyone. Even our tracker here, who is doing a terrific job of tracking this race right now. Tomalech 13.
Yep. I myself have been just starting to dabble, getting back into streaming now that I've got a PC that it can handle streaming. I'm probably going to start getting into ladder races very soon once I find some that line up with my schedule. So come hang out with me if you want and watch the shenanigans. I like to play multis too on stream sometimes too.
I like doing multis as well. It's one of the things that I started doing, like, I think before the tournament. And then when I was like, I want to try to get a little more serious. And that's when I started to look into areas. And then that's how I joined the Mentor tournament. But
yeah, it's pretty much the same for me too. Actually, kind of like got back into Rando when I heard like multi-world was a thing, and then started like, man, I could get better at this game. And I started all the summer's rolling around, all the tournaments are starting. I'm like, I could do volunteering for these tournaments because they're all really cool.
As we see from McMonkey doing both versions of Diver Down, both Bomb and Samora Kane, and we get Khaja finishing off his fight with Mothra. Never liked it, that moth at all. Of all the moths that are like out in the world right now, that moth is like my least favorite. So it's always good to see him go down, especially after ended up taking a death from that fight, unfortunately.
Khaja needs to.
Khaja's having a little bit of memory lapse, unfortunately.
There's the.
I forgot he. Yeah.
You want to get that one there, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. He has to go under the bridge, not over.
And we know what's in there, of course. There's a sword coming up soon,
and that's going to be very helpful for him, despite him already doing the Swamp Palace boss fight already. So he's probably gonna go ahead and go into Ice Palace after this. So he's definitely gonna have. I feel like Ice Palace will be the play here.
Yeah, we've got pretty much a wealth of options over there because we've got the bow for Eastern. We have access to desert no, we don't. We're missing flute for desert. So once we have flute, all those dungeons will be available, and that's also assuming that we only need bombos for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, if we need something completely different from Turtle Rock, then it'll be a medallion hunt for sure.
To answer Mocha Jones asking about Pendant Pod, McMonkey did dip in there, but it's a bow-locked pod. There was a full heart in the shooter room chest, so he wasn't able to get any deeper. Or was it the big key? It was something not a key in the.
It was definitely something not a key in there, and he has to leave out because there was nothing else to really get from there since he didn't get a key from there, a small key.
Yep. So our divergence right now, we've got McMonkey making a trip into Ice Palace, and Khaja's going to see what's on our East Dark Mountain.
More likely going to do, after doing the check from here, he's going to probably check the Hookshot Cave and see if he can get some goodies from there as he clips into the block to do another clipping to get through there without having to use the menu to get the mirror out, because I know I probably would have done that.
Yeah, it's easy to want to just use the mirror for those to vanish the blocks. If there's an Ether Medallion, okay, so we're more likely to have TR access now. Yeah, if you can do the hookshot clip, it's definitely faster than switching to the mirror, especially since you're going to use the hookshot right away for Hookshot Cave. That saves you a couple of menus.
And here we go, going through Hookshot. We get the book, which could be useful, could not.
Well, there's our desert access, yeah.
Bombs. Boomerang.
We may not, with that book, actually, we may not even end up finding the flute because Myers a pendant. We may not have to go in there at all.
Yep. Actually, Yeah, all he needs now is the correct medallion, and he's in go mode. And it is Ether. So, in 1 hour and 13 minutes, we do have a go mode coming from Khaja. And soon after, once McMonkey finishes Ice Palace, and then the rest of the other dungeons as well, and then going upstairs to the Hookshot Cave, he'll definitely be in go mode himself. It's now all a matter of which of these runners will route it in a way that'll put them in the lead. Ether was in Hookshot Cave.
Oh, it was a Super Bunny. We just got
Super Bunny Cave,
yeah.
Right? Wow, that's 2 for 2 so far. When I commentate that now, Bunny Cave was like the key to get into Turtle Rock. Talk about going down a rabbit hole.
No kidding. I do like how everyone who plays Rando seems to have kind of like a different pattern they see. Like they notice something happening repeatedly. Like you with Super Bunny and me with seeing like a lot of vanilla or French vanilla mitts and thieves lately.
And we see Big Monkey's going to go to the tea room.
He's doing a full clear, which I don't blame for doing full clear because you're still missing. You know you don't have go mode access. You're still at the very least missing the book to get into desert here.
Yeah.
And then you've only got 1 medallion, so there's a good chance that you can't get into Turtle Rock. So still looking for items. Definitely a good idea here.
Fortunately, he'll be able to find the book once he starts making the climb up to Turtle Rock. No, that's for sure going to be the thing that he'll...
This bomb jump that McMonkey is doing in Ice Palace, getting into the Freezer room, it's very free. All you have to do is shove yourself into the top, hold your sword to the right, push yourself into the upright corner against the block in the door frame, and drop the bomb, and you'll get it every time.
As we see 5 rupees in the big chest room.
Yep. Nothing coming out of Ice Palace for him. Not that we expect there to be anything in Ice Palace, because we know where all the go mode items are. So he'll be able to take care of Cold Stare, and that'll be at least 1 dungeon cleared.
And as we see Khaja making clean work of the infamous chain chomp room, which, to my very much surprise, he only took 1 hit from there.
Yep, those like I like to say that the metal doggos, they play hard. It's learning strats for dealing with chain chomp is a very, very good idea, especially since you don't usually have red mail coming through here. It's often that you have blue, which makes them hurt just a little bit more.
It's funny how their only appearance is in that very specific room, and they're a menace to most of the runners in our tournament. Or in general, to be honest.
Yeah. McMonkey didn't quite get a perfect corner lock with Cold Stare, but got some hits before the puffs escaped and still managed to clean up the fight with relative ease. So that is 1 more crystal down for him. And Khaja's going to grab the Poke Key and head on. I didn't see, did we already get the big key?
That's what I was going to ask. He may have already have the big key at this point, but if he doesn't, this may cost him a little bit.
I'm assuming that they've got. Yeah. I don't think any mentor would let them skip the lava chest if they didn't have the big key. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Big key was in roller room.
Yep. And then you've got an extra small key. Actually, yeah. We've got. This seems as long as you don't get unlucky with the laser bridge key or the rest of the key logic in general, this is easy go mode TR.
And as we see McMonkey getting blocked by those devilish fiends that they are. I was going to say something else. Excuse me.
So Khaja actually does take the safe play going through the big chest. I believe the odds are you can usually skip the big chest and be okay, but there are some nuances to TR's small key logic, and perhaps I missed one of them and not where perfectly what it is. But regardless, gets a small key out of the big chest, so we know for sure that you have enough keys for the rest of the dungeon.
Now, if he's ever so inclined to doing so, he could look for silver and see if he can see that comes up along the way. But outside of that, he can just go ahead and start making a beeline to Ganon's Tower at this point once he finished the rest of the dungeons.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we are at a pretty comfortable equipment set. We've got tempered sword, red mail. We just need some more hearts, but there are no silvers. So if either of these runners doesn't feel comfortable with tempered silverless Ganon, they might do some extra checks on the way. But I don't think at this point. I mean, this tempered sword bracket, I'd expect both these runners to probably be okay with silverless and not make too many extra checks along the way.
Yeah, and to point it out, John, that is the magical experience of randomizers. Sometimes you can get a very fast speed jet seed, and sometimes you have to deal with a lot of the painful logic that the game throws at you. That makes the time even longer. So, yeah.
McMonkey does catch up getting the book out of the hookshot cave, which is going to put them into... Yeah, that's their go mode. Can't see anything missing over there. And it looks like Khaja's going to go ahead and clean up Laser Bridge. Does have the key, but feels like they want a little bit more. Find a heart piece there, so that's actually a convenient refill. And that does also give them the safety door. So in case they take a death to Trinexx here, they'll be at the bottom of the dungeon still. And I know that they don't have anything in the bottles. I think the best that Khaja has is a green pot from the Pyramid Fairy. So there's no extra health in those bottles. That may have been also why they're thinking, like, let's take that safety door and get some extra stuff here.
Yeah, that's a completely valid reason at this point. Because most likely, if they do feel like they need to do more safety, they can just route in going into Witch's Hut to fill in those 3 bottles. But at this point, there's really you just have to take your time. But as I have always stated before, safety over speed at this point of the game, because a death can definitely be very costly.
Exactly. Even if you're going back to the east entrance of Turtle Rock, it still costs a good chunk of time to get back down here to Trinexx. And Trinexx is one of the trickiest bosses in the game. In all my mentoring, just be safe. Take that safety door. Get some catch fairies if you have the bug net and the powder. Turn those anti-fairies into fairies. Get them for safety. You do not want to die to Trinexx. It is one of the most time punishing bosses to take deaths on.
And just as McMonkey is going into Turtle Rock, we have Khaja finishing his run of Turtle Rock, closing it out. And now he's going to go ahead and finish up the last 3 dungeons, which is Ice Palace, Eastern Palace, and Desert Palace.
It's still no flute, so there's going to be a bit of running around to get to all 3 of those, and they're all in relatively different locations. So we've still got a fair amount of seed to go here. It's definitely an early go mode. Being able to have 4 dungeons in just complete go mode. So shouldn't be too much longer, even though without having to run around without the flute.
And for the looks of it, he may be going to Eastern right now. You know, it'd be funny. Flute being in Desert Palace.
Well, if it is, Khaja will get there and get that one first and have an easier time getting to Eastern and Ice. At this point, you're hoping just to make the right guesses and hope that you find that. And just,
yeah.
So I wonder if... I think if I was in Khaja's position here, I'd feel like I'm probably in the lead, because it just seems like all the choices have worked out correctly. They haven't really seemed like they're being missing anything, being blocked up by anything in particular. It's a pretty smooth seed.
The huge play of going into Spike Cave very early is paying off in the long run for this one. And then it seemed like he was able to keep going with the momentum from there.
Yeah, everything really just fell into place after the mirror, because it didn't take him long to get into Swamp, which of course had our bow and second glove, which that opened up the rest of the game, let him get up into Super Bunny to get the ether, to put him in actual go mode, was about 114, I think it was.
Yeah, 1.14.
And there's our boots locked desert. Not that it's really of a concern. They've had those boots for so long. There's the big key. We'll mirror back over to the entrance and head left. McMonkey here showing us that the red boomerang is indeed the superior boomerang, being able to reach past both of those red blocks and get to the crystal switch with ease.
Personally, I'm not one to pick sides because I do like both blue and red for their merits.
Hashtag red rang. Or is it hashtag red gang? I always forget which one. I think it's both, actually.
I'm more of a hookshot man myself.
I mean, hookshot's great, but it doesn't let you doesn't go over those crystal blocks.
True.
Looks like McMonkey is also going to take the safety door here. Again, don't blame him. Try and exit that tricky boss.
Yeah. Especially since no fairies yet. Which I'm kind of surprised none of these... Oh, wait. You know what? They don't have magic powder yet.
Nope, they've never had powder. So there haven't been really opportunities to get fairies. Like, Turtle Rock has a ton of anti-fairies, but if you can't convert them, that doesn't really do much good. Those three bottles have not really served them very well. Waterfall Fairy had just bees. Pyramid Fairy, which we saw from Khaja, just had the green potion refill.
Yeah.
And it's never been really convenient to get out to go to buy potions at the shop. They got that mushroom early, took care of that, and not having a flute means it's been tough to really feel like you can go do that. There are some shops that have red potions in them, but that's really about it for the bottles, unless they feel like making a long trip to get blues.
I feel like when they try to get to Eastern Palace, they will add that into there for the looks of it. Both of them have yet to do Eastern Palace, so it'll be a very good idea to get blues out of it before going in there. Make it as the last dungeon.
Either that or heading towards Eastern, you could take a detour to the lake shop and buy potions there. I think that's the most convenient shop. Or if you want to make a detour for fairies, the Flute Spot 5 has what's called the Long Fairy Cave, and that's a decent option for making a purchase for potions too. Or not purchase for potions, I mean for catching fairies, because they do have the bug net. Just making our way into Ice Palace. We missed it last time, but this time we can actually, once Khaja's getting into the room, we can do a quick little talk about Icebreaker.
Yeah. It's been recently discovered, too, if I'm not mistaken.
It's been not too long. Icebreaker was coming onto the scene right about when I was getting back into Rando. I think back in like February, March. It was just very recently discovered. It is now like my favorite trick in the game. It really cuts so much time out of Ice Palace. It eliminates having to do the what can still be the kind of tricky bomb jump if you don't have it really well practiced. You should still practice the Ice Palace bomb jump. Don't think because Icebreaker exists that you don't do it anymore, because there's always a chance that you end up in here without Samaria, and you're going to want that bomb jump. That bomb jump also saves you a ton of time in Ice Palace. So still practice it. Don't let yourself get rusty on it.
Exactly. Having most of the possible minor glitches in your arsenal helps you save time in nearly every situation you may be in, because, like you said before, you may not have some more arcane throughout the entirety of the race until the very end. Like, Cold Stare could potentially have some more arcane, and that will be... It'll be very bad if you have to go through Ice Palace legitimately.
So there's our icebreaker. You use the basically get yourself up against the wall, but also in the door frame by doing a 1 pixel movement to the left, and that then lets you drop the block on top of yourself and push it just far enough to the left that if you then hold up or down, you can just wiggle straight through the wall, just phase right through it.
You can also pause buffer the left push a little bit, just to circumvent the 1 frame into it, and then buffer up and down into it. And you can get it nearly every time if you do it that way.
Yeah, there are a few different setups, and I personally, I'm very good at the one frame taps, and that's what I've learned to be consistent. But whatever you decide to do for a setup for something like Icebreaker or Diver Down, don't worry about if you can't do like the absolute fastest, or like the fastest setup is proving too difficult for you to get consistently. Do what is consistent. Whatever you can do on the first or maybe even second try over and over again, stick with that, because that's what's going to save you time versus struggling with like the fastest strat. But if it takes you like 3, 4, 5 tries, you're not saving yourself any time.
And Khaja's now going into Cold Stare with a Temper Sword in hand and Bombos, trying to make perfectly good use of it.
Yep, half magic Bombos saves you a ton of magic to splash all these puffs with fire rod shots right off the bat. You can get a lot of damage in real quick. Ooh, got hit by the ice drop, but that was almost a perfect corner lock with fire rod spam there. That was really good.
Any time you can lock them in like that, even if one escapes, is pretty clean in my book.
Yeah, if you get 2 of them in there, because the fire rod will splash onto all of them as long as you don't have your altitude variable messed up. Which, since they didn't flute to Ice Palace, the altitude should be correct for fire rod. That's a little more advanced, but talking about spooky tech. But yeah, as long as you've got proper altitude and you can splash that fire rod shot onto all 3 puffs, they go down real fast. So learning the particular timing of when to release your sword spin and knock them all into the corner is one of the most important things about doing Cold Stare fast.
I believe Khaja is ahead by a bit. All he has to do left is Desert Palace, well, Easter Palace, and we just now got McMonkey finishing up his Desert Palace, and he'll be running towards there.
Yep. So objectively speaking, it is 5 crystals to 6. Oh, actually, no, just 6. So we're actually it's not as far a split as I thought it was going to be here. Yeah, it's basically just like clearing Eastern here and then heading up to GT. Yeah, for all the difference in items and the difficulty with McMonkey finding the mirror and Spike Game in particular, like these runners really aren't that far apart.
And here's hoping that they will finish up that dungeon pretty soon, because once they finish this dungeon, they're gonna go march right into Ganon's Tower. And before they even do that, we're gonna be playing the game once they get to the Turtle Rock at the very least, which is, we guess where the big key is at.
And interestingly enough here, because McMonkey's already been in Eastern Palace, did have to make a double dip, but they've already got the big key. Whereas Khaja does have to hunt for that, so this lead that Khaja has actually is going to diminish further, if not flip actually back to McMonkey, considering they're actually go-winning this dungeon completely.
Which is very interesting when you think about it, because it's like all the stuff that he has done is now like adding up into a lead now, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, so it's hard to say that like it paid off, but it's that the dip hurts less now because now you can come back here and zoom straight through it. And Eastern's a very quick dungeon. All you have to do is go straight to the back because those extra chests on the right side are what really add time to this dungeon.
Yeah.
And Khaja will find the big key in the left chest here, so they're going to be able to go right to the back with only losing a little bit of time to checking one chest on the right side.
Yeah, if that big key was any deeper in the dungeon, McMonkey would have definitely had like a more considerable lead. And it looks like Khaja's opening still a few more chests, which is understandable because he probably is still looking to get the silver arrows into play. Hopefully looking to see if he can get that. And it looks like he's going to get some few fairies. Yep.
This is a great spot to get it. I mean, Eastern turning out to be your last dungeon before GT. You don't have powder, so this is actually a very good fairy pit stop. It's a very quick one too. And then because your next fairy pit stop is going to be all the way up in the start of the climb after the bridge with the cannonballs.
And McMonkey doing an impressive quick kill on the Armoral's rave party.
Yep, that was very solid. There are a couple different good setups for the quick kill as far as where you start the room and then in which direction you move, and that was very good. Oh, we've got our big key game. Get your numbers in chat right now. So there are 22 locations in Ganon's Tower where the GTBK is going to be. It could be anywhere from 1 to 22. Put your number in chat. We have a leaderboard here and everything. Once that big key has been found on McMonkey's side, since they are the first to get their 7th crystal, we will give some points out to whoever gets either exactly hit it, or if nobody got it exact, those points will be given to the closest guess. I'm going to use my usual number of 18, which in the typical route, which sees a key in Hope Room, and then you clear the right side first, we'll put it into Bob's chest.
And we see our friend McMonkey pulling up grabbing a fairy there, but ended up getting blocked by those devious fiends.
Yeah, those dead rocks. That was actually very smart. So yes, you do have a fairy in that bonk rock there, and then because you got the dead rock, you realize, oh, you can just go far enough off screen to basically not despawn it, but reset it to get out of the way. Because otherwise, you're standing there waiting for a good 15 seconds, something like that. Dead rocks take.
Yeah. They can eat away at your time very fast if you're not careful.
They're just terrible, and they're hard to kill. You have to have the Quake medallion to deal with them. It's dumb.
Yeah, who thought that was fine?
All right, we got just a few more seconds for the big key guessing game. If you haven't put a number in, do so now. As Amarith is saying, you don't have to be the first to guess on our leaderboard here, but the first guess that's correct does get the most points.
And off we go into Ganon's Tower.
We're seeing a very typical Hope Room first.
Get a piece of heart, whole heart, and 10 arrows.
No key, so we're actually going to see Hope Room 2 and then go left for the rest. Unless we see maybe a DM route where you see the Dark Magician room and then head back to the right. We'll see what McMonkey does here. No doubt that they probably still feel like they're behind because of how we know they're ahead, but they might feel like they're behind because of how long it took to find the mirror.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we'll see any interesting plays in routing here. But even with that lead, Khaja's not far behind. They're probably just about getting into GT right now. Their side of the stream is frozen, but they're no doubt still very close.
Hopefully it will come back up soon. I like to think that everything's fine. Oh dear.
Not like this.
Oh no.
You know what to do, chat.
Give Khaja all of your energy in hopes of the stream can be restored. Oh no.
So keeping track on Monkey's side, we are up to 8 checks so far. His Hope Room was 2, Torch is 3, 4 to 7 for the DM room, 8 for the double fire bar, and we'll see 9 in the fire snake room.
Okay, and we're back live. And
all right, good.
That had me sweating bullets there.
Number 9 is just a heart piece.
That is one thing to note. If you are going to do these races, do make sure you make a local recording of it. Because sometimes things like that can happen, and if should the power go out, flicker out, and you lose connection, you always will, at the very least, if your computer is still running while you're doing the run, you'll still have a local recording of it to upload to be able to prove that your time to get it verified. So if you are doing a race or doing a run, make sure you do that. It could save you a lot of heartache even if you have your personal best coming in and then suddenly you lose power.
Yes, indeed. And we actually had the big key. I was actually watching Khaja I was about to say doing a right side route. I did not see which specific chest it was because the left side room, their ender room was 10 through 13. So whichever one in that was the correct guess. It looks like we're going to go ahead and 13 is the correct guess. Congratulations to Falcon Can, 14 points on our leaderboard, or 13 points, sorry. 13 points for the leaderboard. And as I said, the if no one hit it exactly, it does go to the closest guess. So 14 was just one away. And McMonkey is going to go ahead and make use of... didn't quite get the bomb. The little fairy pit stop here. Does have that bug net. 3 bottles. You can get both these fairies. That'll give you some extra safety going up the rest of the climb and then into Ganon himself. Whoa, bucko. No empty bottles. Get rid of those bees.
Bees! They keep buzzing around.
This is a situation that is not improved by having additional bees. McMonkey's getting into the gauntlet here. This part of the climb that we call the gauntlet, which is these rooms with the conveyors and ice. You got Beamos everywhere. You got Zazax. You're gonna have some red Stalfos. It really is an actual gauntlet. You gotta slog through here to get to the Landmo 2 fight.
Yeah. And even then, after this little section here, they're not done. They still gotta make the climb to do a bit more with torch fun, lighting some torches along the way and so on and so forth. But
two good Lamos with the fire rod there. The third one short hop didn't quite get it in time, so we're looking at a 3 cycle here. But the fire rod is always a good weapon for Landmos. Just takes 2 shots for each of them. As long as you can get the aim right, you can take care of them no problem. To find that big key in Rando room, so named because you never see it except for in Rando. None of the speedruns ever touch that room because it's so far to the way and there's nothing you want in there.
Wow, these runners are going through the paces of the gauntlet. A fun little tidbit about McMonkey. He's always loved Link to the Past, and he noticed one of the streamers that he watched do the randomizer on Twitch, and after watching a few of it, he decided to try it out himself and just immediately fell in love with it once more and just enjoyed it since then.
It is it's a great way to play this old game that so many of us know and love. Especially like for me, I grew up playing this game. Actually, on the GBA version, I never had a Super Nintendo, but once I had the Game Boy Advance release of this, I played through that game so many times. It was one of my absolute favorites, and I was a real Game Boy kid too, so I always had that thing with me like everywhere.
Yeah, I had the luxury of playing it way back when I was much younger, and I can definitely say like it was one of those games that I enjoyed playing every now and then. And funny enough, I didn't get a chance to beat it until like I was, I want to say 18 or so, or close to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever I may have gotten to play it and finish it on like a friend's Super Nintendo back in those days. It's entirely possible that I never saw the end of the game until it was out on the GPA, which would put it in like when did I have that? Around 14, 15-ish. So
Yeah.
And little did I know at the time that then, like, 20 years later, I'd be playing this game again with everything shuffled around and all these extra modes and stuff. You got, like, Enemizer and Entrance Shuffle and all the... It's wild. I love this game too much. It's become one of my absolute, like, just main games.
Who would have thought shuffling even like the items in this game will breathe new life into it, which is pretty amazing to know.
Yeah, you gotta think, like, someone way back then was just like, what if you just mix up all the items and link to the past? I wonder what happens. And they're like, let's just do it and find out. And then it turned into one of the best things for gaming, because then so many games nowadays you see are randomizing stuff, and even games are building in randomizers. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we got Aga 2, or as I like to call the Agonometry, the geometry wizard. McMonkey's side. So these patterns aren't too bad. A little bit tricky. Got a good double there. There you go.
That's another double and brings them down.
It still takes just 6 of those hits. And the nice thing about the shadows that you can't hit, they will never throw blue balls at you. So this fight, imagine if they did. It'd be a lot more chaotic. But no, you can always reflect the ones that his copies will throw at you. Nag it down with one more enemy to go. The big boss himself, Ganon.
Now, one thing to do note that for this fight, they are going in without silvers, so they're gonna have to do a little bit of spin work just to do some damage to them on the last phase.
Indeed, phases 1 through 3 will be tempered sword, not too bad. But the 4th phase, they'll have to do 12 tempered sword spins to get through it. With fairly precise timing. It's not too bad with sword spins, but it's unpracticed that the silverless fight can still be pretty tricky. But again, with these two being in the tempered sword bracket, which are our second best bracket here, I have no doubt that they are comfortable enough with the silverless fight. They'll be able to get through it.
As we see third phase coming in, Ganon teleporting everywhere.
Khaja is checking chests on the right side. Did find the Quake medallion at the top of GT, so there's that. We're going to get our silvers in momentarily. Turtle Rock. Ooh.
Ooh.
What did we not check in Turtle? Oh, the lava chest.
Yep. that's kind of crazy that that got skipped.
Yeah, we saw everything else because they went through Laser Bridge and the big chest crystal roller. The lava chest gives you steal the key from the Pokey and move on. Just dodge the silvers.
Ooh.
And Khaja taking a drop on Moldorm too, getting some additional bullying in to continue the attitude from earlier.
McMonkey is slowly but surely is making work of Ganon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has like probably like 5 more spins to go.
I lost count immediately. I was also watching Khaja. He's got half magic and the fire rod, which lets you, if you got the timing right, you can set it for triples. But if you don't get a triple, you can still get up to 2 hits per torch lighting. I can't imagine he has many more to go now.
Yeah, this should be the. I hope that's his last one. Yep,
Yep,
there we
that's
go. Down goes Ganon with McMonkey pulling up the impressive victory.
In race time GG, we have an official finish time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 26 seconds. Get your GGs in chat. Spend those channel points. Highlight some messages. Let's celebrate this this race win here. I'm sure McMonkey's glad to see that they are not indeed 2 minutes late, as the Triforce Room message claims.
Let's see if we can get him in for an interview.
Meanwhile, Khaja taking care of Agatu, really not that far behind. They do still have a silverless Ganon fight to go, but they'll be
they'll be following close behind at the very least.
Not far to go, no.
Yeah. And it looks like they're in the green room, and we'll just wait for them. Meanwhile, we're at the start of the fight with Khaja, who will be finishing his race, as we are joined by McMonkey and Trinexx. GG, guys. Well played.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a good one.
It was something. All right. it was the hunt for any kind of progression early. It felt like forever.
Quick question. What made y'all opt out and not doing Spike Cave during the early part of the run?
Well, when we left Tower of Hera, the choice was either to go do Spiral Cave or Spike Cave. It was a coin flip, and I just came up tails and needed it to come up heads.
Oh, okay.
I could have gone right back up the Spike Cave, but at that point there were other checks to go to, and I figured I'd check those first, and it happened to work out that we last locationed it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. What were your overall thoughts about the sea?
Well, like I said, it was hard to find progression early. It just felt like a slog in the beginning, knowing pretty early that we were probably going to have to go face Aga and then check in almost everything to confirm it. It took a while for it to open up. So it felt like a chore, but then, as soon as we got those mitts in Swamp Palace, then, it turned into just a jet seed clearing all the crystals, which that lined up pretty nice.
Yeah, and you're right. It really was the opening game was interesting, having so little progression. The bottleneck more and more pointing towards Aghanim. You both made the play to go into Aghanim instead of Eastern Palace, so that was for the early game. You two are pretty much in lockstep. Like, there really wasn't much difference before then.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Thieves Town didn't bite me. I moved a little too quick for Trinexx to jump in. I always forget that without gloves there, you can kill everybody in the room and go around the long way. So I death warped there. Turns out there was an item in the big chest anyway, but I could have, or there was no item in the big chest. So I could have finished blind. That would have saved me a couple minutes when I dipped back into Thieves Town.
Okay, so we weren't aware that was an intentional warp. We thought that was an accidental death, and that you decided to dip out and just come back later to finish it off. Okay, yeah.
No, I just had a brain fart and forgot that I could even get back there.
Yeah, it is good that worked out. That didn't actually burn you on having an item there.
I think it ended up being boots on blind.
Boots on blind, yeah.
Yeah, so it that felt bad when I saw it, but Boots didn't really loot anything except for just some speed.
Khaja does have at least, I think, one more fairy in the bottle here, so even though the Firebat getting bought by that. There's our last hit. Yep.
Last hit.
Get your GGs in for Khaja. Going to be just a few minutes behind here. We'll get the official time in a moment. Yeah, we are looking at on racetime.gg, our official finish time of 1:52:47. So it's about a 4.5 minute difference between these two. Well played to both.
Yeah, this seed was pretty interesting, but thankfully it wasn't too rough.
It was an interesting seed of making some decisions on where to go. 'Cause there were, despite the early bottleneck, once it opened up in Dark World, it's like, which play do you make, and does that work out for you?
Yeah, and it really did work out for us. I mean, we got those mitts and decided to just knock out the crystals we could, and things just fell into place where we found ether on the way up to Turtle Rock. So then we cleared Turtle Rock. That got us our bow, and we ended up, just being able to. Our bow and book were up there. I'm sorry, the bow was in Swamp Palace along with the mitts. So I mean, things fell into our lap once we decided to go into Swamp Palace, and we skipped a lot of overworld checks.
Yeah, I like that this was a really kind of natural seed. Once the progression got going, it just flowed into itself. You didn't do a lot of oddball stuff. We are also joined by Khaja and Coxla. GG's to you two as well.
GG, Khaja.
Yeah, GG. Thanks.
GG.
So I have a question for you. When you went to Spike Cave, very early, what were your thoughts when you found the mirror from there?
I don't know. I was like, oh, the seed was giving a lot of items pretty fast. I was not really surprised by it. It was kinda the flow of the seed.
Okay. What were your overall thoughts about the seed, though, in general?
We were like thinking we were pretty much ahead, but yeah, I don't know. It was all was open pretty quickly. It was in what order doing the right things were kinda hard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that is indeed pretty much what it came down to. Was once the progression opened up, it was just a wealth of options. Like, you had go mode, and then there were 4 dungeons to do. It's just a matter of most efficiently routing all those. And even though you did like being the first to go mode, once McMonkey and Trinexx got all their items, they very quickly caught up and just had an overall better route to cleaning up and just execution in general.
Yeah, I've got a lot of unfortunate deaths, especially in the beginning, dying in a village of outcasts, and losing a lot of time in Era as well. But yeah, I was not really surprised to be beaten tonight, and GG again.
Thanks. Yeah, this was an interesting one. I think that the late game execution went well for me. I had similar issues around Thieves Town, taking an intentional death that cost me getting boots until later. But I mean, you were hot on my heels at the end there, and it sounds like I was catching up for part of it. So, I hope it was a good show for chat.
My execution was terrible today.
Yeah, those mold orms in particular were not kind to you. Those were, both of them were really rough.
Yeah, they were pushing all around quite a bit.
Yeah, the double floor drop never feels good.
Yeah, you both got knocked into the center hole, like pretty much as mold orm's first action. Like, no, you're going down 2 floors.
Yeah, like I think I killed them maybe 10 tries. I don't know. It was
say 5 or 6. That was horrible. More.
I think it was, it was like on the third attempt, if I'm not mistaken, that y'all finally took it out the first fight of Moldrom.
Yeah, he was pretty wily today.
Guess he got caught by the Saturday Night Fever. But do y'all have any final thoughts? Khaja, I know this is like the end of your tournament run, unfortunately, but you definitely showed us a good well round of matches, and being in Tempered Sword is no easy feat. Do you have anything to share with us as a final remarks?
I'm pretty happy with what I was about to do in this tournament. It was a first one for me. I started the Link to the Past randomizer just 2 weeks before the tournaments, and honestly, I'm really happy with my results. Even if I would have liked to play the next match, but it's okay.
Yeah, like, because having started just so being so new to the game and already being able to put up like still really good times, solid runs like this, like that says something, and that really speaks to the quality of the help that we've got with our mentors in this tournament. I don't doubt you've gotten a ton of advice and training from them, and like that's only going to carry you upward here.
Yeah, I wanted to thank them, especially Coxla and Senen, who taught me a lot along this tournament, and a lot of people from the French community. I had a lot of people taught me some things, and thanks, really big thanks to them.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Your execution and getting the #1 seed with having started 2 weeks before the tournament, that speaks very well of your dedication to it. Great job.
Thanks. And I hope you can win the rest of these brackets.
Me too.
It will make me
I'm
happy.
excited.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we hope to see you race again sometime in the near future in other tournaments as well, even in ladder matches. It'll be great to see you racing once more.
I will be there. Thank you.
So, McMonkey, with you advancing to the semifinals against Nephitos, going in mentorless, how do you feel about next match?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a best of 3 next week for the semifinals, so that helps, right? So that I think lowers the stress level a little bit. You know, I think at this point, I've gotten a lot of information from the mentors, and a big thanks to Trinexx for their help tonight. The other mentors that I've had a different mentor every week that I've been able to have a mentor, and that's been a great experience too, because I've gotten lots of different perspectives on my play, lots of little tips. So yeah, I mean, it's just the same, you know, I'm going to be grinding practice and going into it, you know, hopefully a little bit more relaxed, and see what happens.
Is there anything in particular you think you're going to be practicing most? Any particular soft spots?
That's a good question. You know, there's certainly a bunch of little cleanup I can do on some of the boss fights. You know, I've been working on some of the lower percent boss fights, so Hammer Trinexx, Hammer Cold Stare. You know, got lucky that I didn't have to face some of that. I'm feeling a little more confident in those, having been practicing them, but it's something that I still need to put a little bit more time into.
Yep, those bosses, I always recommend that too. Like, if you want to get better at bosses, especially with different equipment sets, grab that practice hat. Lets you set yourself up with all kinds of different equipment loadouts, and get those low percents figured out, because sometimes you don't get much. Sometimes you do like Master Sword Hammer Trinexx, and it's a tough fight, but it's good to have that one down pat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good deal. We'll be definitely watching you next round here. Hopefully you can just have a good match there. Maybe get through at 2-0. Maybe we'll see a game 3. Regardless, I hope we just have good races out of the both of you.
Yeah. I my big hope is that it's really execution heavy. You know, that they're close races, execution prevails. You know, it's never fun to get randoed and just, you know, get the toss of the dice to fall wrong for you and lose due to that. So, you know, I'm hoping that they're very competitive, close matches.
Yeah, thankfully we didn't have too much of that in this seed here today. So, well, I think that's about all I've got. Hubb, do you have any final questions or thoughts for our runners here?
None that I feel like y'all already covered the rest of the questions. But yeah, thank you very much for your race today. You definitely did some very good performance out there. I hope to see both of y'all do some more races later on down in the future. It's been really great commentating it.
Yeah, and thank you for volunteering.
Yeah, thanks.
And indeed, thank you to our volunteers, to our commentators, Hubb and myself, our tracker, Tomotach, I probably butchered that, I'm sorry, and then our Restreamer, SSBM, Oro. Thank you to all these people and everyone who's been restreaming all these matches to help put on this tournament. We've had a lot of races to crew, as many as we can get for restreaming. It's been a great effort on everyone's part. And thank you also again to the mentors who have been here to get all of our runners more experienced in getting through this tournament. They'll all come out here, I'm sure, learning a lot about this game and be able to continue on and get into ladder, get into more tournaments in the future, and just keep going up.
Yeah, be sure to give everyone here a follow here. Nightbot given in the links from that. Also, if you do love what you see here, make sure you tune in to Go Mode Podcast tomorrow, both at 1 o'clock p.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We're going to have some Gold Mode bracket matches, especially one of them being the highlight with Kipo versus Scoople, who's been undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm correct here. Scoople having an impressive run there, so if you want to see some high level skill there, you can definitely take a peep at that. And that just about covers it. If you want to join in on the Discord, we have Go Mode Podcast does have a Discord for you to join in. You can tune in to the podcast that they put out bi-weekly, as well as the bi-weekly seed that you can take part in as well. I would think that just about covers it. And if there's nothing else to take care of, I'm Esper Hubb, and
Thanks for being here, everyone. I've been Adilor. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening or morning, depending on where you are, afternoon.
have a good day.
Just enjoy yourself. Take care.